Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Healthy, Happy, Wise, Wealthy Season 2. So I'm excited for Season 2, and we have with us today Lori Rogers with Positive Activity. And welcome, Lori.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Mary.
Yeah, I'm real excited to have you on here as we just start out this new season. So Lori has done many things in her life, but positiveactivity.net, you said in 2017, you started this.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm just going to jump into, I was looking through your website, and so you have these 6 guiding principles of positive activity. So, and I do, and one of the things I'm going to say this too with the podcast is like, I feel like I love having people on that, like, you're not just saying these things, you've lived through some things. So,
Mhm.
so the different, that, you know what I mean? And, you've lived some life for sure. So, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Some very interesting stuff. So 6 guiding principles of positive activity. So the number 1 was change your mindset to change your life.
Yes.
Tell
So
me
that's,
about that.
well, once I learned that changing my words, and my thoughts, which become my beliefs, once I could shift those and change those, I could change my subconscious mind. I could change the way what my subconscious mind was searching for me. Your subconscious, which I didn't even know this back in 2012. This is what I learned, these concepts, which I was a little annoyed that I didn't know it as a younger person, but that's beside the
Yeah.
point. Um, so once I learned that we have this amazing tool, our mind, our subconscious mind, that is a faithful friend and wants to match to us everything that we want and we desire and listens to us every day. So it listens to everything we say, negative, positive, neutral. It doesn't judge us. It just says, oh, she, doesn't think she's going to get any sales today, or oh, she doesn't think she's going to be able to pay her bills today. Well, okay, I'm going to search for that. I'm going to match to that. You know what I'm saying? So once I
Mhm.
learned that, I learned I needed to change my negative self talk. I needed to change the way I was approaching life, my business, my family, my children. And I could I guess engrave, I would use the word engrave new thoughts, new beliefs into my subconscious. And that in turn changes your life. At least
Yeah.
for me, it did, because your subconscious brain wants to please you so, so much. So it's going to match to you what you think about all the time, what you say all the time. Or, people would say, people would tell my son who was going into broadcasting, oh, Craig, oh, Cam, that's so hard. The broadcasting career is so hard. It's so, I said, Cam, that's their belief. That doesn't have to be yours. So you write down the opposite on a post-it note and you put that on your computer every day and you say, opportunities are here for me always. Having the career I want is here for me always. And don't let other people's beliefs become yours.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about. It's just about changing your mind, and we all have the power to do it. It's like, oh my gosh, we have this superpower to do this. And I wanted
Yeah.
everyone to know about it. So once I learned these concepts, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to teach this. This is crazy that I didn't know this. So that's what
Well,
that's about.
yeah. And I think it just, there's something about it. Like because we're always listening to ourselves, we don't even think
Hmm.
about the fact that there is something going on in our brain that's talking
Hmm.
to us. Like our brain is, we don't, we're not even self-aware of it, this thing that happens constantly.
I
So,
was
and
not aware at all.
yeah,
Nope.
it's, and it's such don't you think it's like, that's really one of when you talk about positive thinking, it really is like, it's almost becoming self-aware of what it is that's going down in your brain. And I've had conversations with people because, I've lived through some things that are pretty traumatic. And so
Hmm.
when you're talking about things in the real world that are real, like this is really
Hmm.
going down and this is really bad, to somehow reframe it to be, um, reframing it into something that's positive in your brain can be
Hmm.
a superhero challenge.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think the key point there also is when we hit those challenges in life, which I've had many and will continue to have them, we don't shove it down. We don't give it its due time. We give those emotions of challenge and fear and worry and doubt their place, and
Yeah.
we process them. We let them flow through us. We let it happen the way it needs to happen, knowing even though this challenge is happening today, I'm going to do my best to stay as light as I can. And tomorrow may take a day, it may take 2 weeks, it may take 3 days, but I'm going to let this energy do its thing, flow through me and be released. And sometimes
Yeah.
we need help with that. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes it can be released, on our own, but you honor every emotion and you don't want to shove them down because that's
Yeah.
when they get sick and we don't want that.
Yeah.
So it's also when you talked about reframing them, I love that, like that thought process of reframing it, because you're looking at it as, okay, maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe a month, 2 months from now, you'll say, oh, now I see why that happened for me, not to me.
Mhm.
Now I see why I lost, being the top producer for that client. Now I see what was coming down the line. Because if I that happens to me, that happened to me, and I was devastated when we lost one of our clients. And then 6 months later, we garnered a new one that was like 10 times larger. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why it happened. But I didn't know that at the time. You're
Yeah.
upset, you're mad, you're worried, you're fearful. Like, okay, all right, all right. So, you move on and you do what you need to do to get rid of to release that and process that. And then 6 months later, I'm like, oh, that's why that happened for me. So
Yeah,
it's interesting.
something
It's
else
fun.
good was coming. Yeah.
Yes. And we
And
can't see it at the time because when you're in the
yeah,
storm, you just don't know when you don't see it. Yeah.
no, no. And
Mhm.
I think personally the difference between positive mindset and toxic positive mindset is, are you willing to feel your emotions? Uh,
Yeah,
because if
totally.
you're just
Absolutely.
because if you're just like, put that thought away, that's negative thought, no negative, that's not human. Or like, we're only
Mhm.
accept this emotion of happiness, we're not accepting any others. That's when all of a sudden you get, because I've been in sales like you are, and done a lot of different ones, and then you get these
Mhm.
managers who are just so mean, and not and
Mhm.
the very opposite of positive, as they are trying to teach positivity. So
Mm.
in my opinion, it's because you still got to be human,
Yes.
feel the
Well,
emotions,
thank
and
God we are all humans, and that's,
right,
our emotions are our guidance system. So
right,
God gave us that, creation gave us that, universe gave us that, whatever you want to call it, gave us that. So let's use it wisely and use it as our barometer and, where we're going to go with it. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't
I
even know
really,
what toxic positivity was until like 6 months ago. Someone asked me about it. I'm like, I had to look it up. I'm like, what is that?
oh,
I'm like, oh, okay. No, no, no. That's not what we're talking about here. Yeah.
no,
So
yeah. Well, and I could sense, I could sense when I was just, initially looking through your stuff, that this is, you know, that's not what you were. So, but yeah, and that's how we got to like delineate it. It's like, we're not talking about, don't feel anything bad that happens to you is because
Mhm.
you wanted it to happen because of your mind. And I've heard people say that. That's kind of a quote. Versus, this is, you're dealing with life, which is really, really tough, and you're going through some things that are really tough. But instead of playing that spinning cycle in your head about how bad it is and how bad it's going to be,
Mhm.
um, you stop it and you go,
Mhm.
maybe it'll turn out better than I think. And then start linking those emotions that are so intelligent to the outcome, which is,
Right.
I'm in the middle of focusing on that, the thing that has not arrived yet that I'm feeling into. So
Yes.
I'm living it currently today. Yeah.
All right. So you're
Yeah.
allowing. I love it. So yes.
Yeah. So the second part of this, expectation versus patience, was that the second part of
Well,
the
I would
six?
say expectation and patience. So the
Okay.
concept there is we have goals, intentions, things we want to accomplish, things we want in our life. So they're over here in our future. And we've
Mhm.
asked, we've written it down, we've put it in our journal, we've done whatever, it's up on our vision board. We know our goals, we know what they are. So we stop saying, I want this, and we start saying, I am this. So I am 5 new clients this month. I am garnering, 20,000 in commission this month. I am, whatever the statement is. So when you say I am, you're putting yourself in right here, right now. It's with me. But here's the thing. It may not be in your hands yet. It may not be part of your experience yet. So there's a gestation period between the intention, the writing it down, the knowing that you want it, the universe knows you want it, and getting it. So
Mhm.
we have to stay patient with it's like being pregnant. You know you're pregnant, but you're not going to rush it. You don't get mad that it takes 9 months. You don't get mad. You're like, oh, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this anymore. You don't do that. You know that it's
Right.
taking time. So in that buffer of time between knowing what you want and having it, can you be patient with excited expectation of it coming? So within that buffer of time, can you feel the emotion of having it? Can you sit 5 minutes every day and meditate and think about having that and how that's going to feel when you do? Because
Mhm.
most things we want, well, I would say all things we want them because we think it's going to make us feel better. So feel better today for 5 minutes and visualize it, see it happening, feel how great you're going to feel when you get that $20,000 commission check, like whatever it happens to be,
Mhm.
feel it now because you may not have it now, but you can feel it within the next few minutes, right? I take people through
Right.
an experiment of closing their eyes and imagining. I go through this whole process of taking a lemon, rolling it between your hands, putting it down on a cutting board, slicing it open. The juices are flowing out. You squeeze it. You take it, and you take a taste. And as you visualize, and people go through that process, they start salivating, and they feel like they're really having the lemon because your body doesn't know the difference. Thank
Yeah.
God, your brain doesn't know the difference between something real or imagined. How cool is that? Like we have another superpower. So we can show our brain, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to feel like. I'm so excited. And your brain's like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Mhm. It is so cool. And I love what you're talking about it because I'm like, oh, this is me living this today. And then the last month or so or last several months
Hmm.
as I'm like trying to just get more aligned in my life with
Hmm.
things I can't talk about on the podcast, but well, for different reasons, but just that
Yep.
alignment with
Hmm.
work, with vision, with just finances, with family, with every part of it, and like what I would want to have,
I love
and
how you
feeling that.
used that word alignment
Yeah.
because when you think about it, you're lining up with the energy of having what you want.
Hmm.
So that's what you're doing when you're visualizing and feeling it. You're
Yeah.
aligning with it. So I love that you used that word. That's a good word.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my word of the year. We did a session
Oh,
a couple weeks back with
yes.
some people. I'm like, "What's your
I
word of the
listened to
year?"
that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
And
good.
I'm like, alignment needs to be my word for sure. So thanks for that. Okay, so the third one that you have on here, and this was fascinating to me. I love it, and I don't know that anyone's heard of it.
Oh,
Festin in lente. Is that?
yes.
Am I saying
So
it right?
yes. So it means m- make haste slowly. So it's just this concept of being present, really. So you're
Mm,
going through your day and you're doing your thing. Can you stop every 5, 10? I don't know, put an alarm on your phone, an hour every 30 minutes and just stop and be present and be
mm,
aware and maybe shut off the computer, not shut it off, flap down the computer and just be aware and breathe for a few minutes. And just so I know we're all going through our days and we're so busy and we're rushing and rushing and rushing. Take that time to stop and pause.
mhm.
Even if it's
Yeah.
for 30 seconds, doesn't matter. Just stop and pause and breathe and get your brain focused on one thing, your breath, for 30 seconds or a minute. And it helps your brain sort of declutter from that ADHD of social media, of our emails, of our text messages, of our, voicemails, of everything bombarding us. Let the brain
Mhm.
and just focus on one thing for 30 seconds or a minute if you can. I know when I started doing it and sitting and breathing and listening to my breath, I could do 30 seconds at a time and then I was out. And then I just increased it a little bit each day.
Yeah. I love it. Makes it, it does remind me of yoga, and I remember back when
Mm.
I've been doing it. I'm getting back into it, but when I first
Mhm.
started years ago, and I kind of have started and stopped. But like when you're going through something that's really stressful, it's easier to go do boxing, like hit
Yes. Yeah.
kickboxing and go hit something. Um, and
Yes.
that felt better then. And but the thought of like staying in stillness, where you just have to be still and hold it, it
Mhm.
was awful, you know?
Mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
when you're going, if well, and this is like, like the being trauma informed kind of thing. So like you've been through some trauma and you don't want to like just, you got to move, like you got to move. And so to get your body out of flight or fight, then you got to
Mhm.
be still.
Mhm.
But in just the general workplace, I think we're in or flight a lot.
We are. I
So
know. Mm.
in one
Yes.
way or the other. It's just, it can be, not all workplaces are chaotic, but certainly in entrepreneur sales,
Mhm.
and there's a million other things. Like
Yep.
you could be working at a fast food restaurant and be completely stressed. Um,
Yes.
so that I love that just the coming back to a moment of stillness, and that's it's so simple and so brilliant.
Mhm. Mhm. So what I tell people to do, and I hand at workshops, I hand out lip balm that has our logo on it, and I
Yeah,
say, every time you put that lip balm on your lips, I want you to take that 30 seconds, that 20 seconds, and just breathe and just focus on the feeling, focus on the balm, focus on your lips, just to give your brain one thing to focus on. So
yeah.
that's a tip or trick too. So or every time, think about like something you do, or every time you take a sip of water, or take a sip from your coffee, or
Mhm.
whatever resonates with the person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. And other guests I've had on have said really the same thing. So we're on to it, right?
Mm,
We're on to the
yay.
thing that's
Good.
gonna help us. So okay, what are we on? 4. The fourth thing is just do your best.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, that came from a book called The Four Agreements, which I
Okay.
highly recommend. It's a cute little stocking stuffer sized book. And the
Yeah.
four agreements are, um, oh my gosh, no, I'm spacing them, but don't talk badly about yourself or others. Like, don't gossip.
Okay.
Don't make assumptions. Always call and get the answers to questions. Like, don't assume what's going on, right? Always find out or think the
Mhm.
best of things, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then there's two more. There's one more now. I can't think of what it is, but the book is sitting right there. I can't. But anyway, the last one is the fourth one is always do your best.
Yeah.
So do the best you can with those three agreements, and if you fall off the train, so you fall off, you get back on the next day, but give yourself some grace. But always try to do
Mhm.
your best with those. Yeah, so it's not talking badly about yourself and others. Don't make assumptions. What was the third one? Maybe someone knows and they'll
The
pop it in the
third
notes.
one is never
Uh, uh,
forget number 3.
exactly. No, I can't
Yeah, never
remember it.
forget number 3. I've heard of that book
Ah,
too, so now
oh, okay.
we'll put it in the show notes. Go check the show
Right,
notes. Go get a copy of the
right.
book.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that, and I do think that goes back to really the first one too. Is your mindset is just some gentleness with yourself because you're a human.
Hmm.
So perfection isn't the goal
Hmm.
because perfection is unattainable in
Oh,
many ways.
no, it's not about perfection at all. I think
Yeah,
it's more about excellence, just excellence of
yeah,
character, excellence of communication, excellence of back and forth. But that doesn't mean perfection, because I don't even know what that is, honestly. But tell you an interesting story. A couple months ago, I got an email. One of our suppliers was emailing me. She's the she heads up the customer service organization, and her emails were just so snarky and wow, where's this art? Like just like not nice and just mean, kind of mean toned. So I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
what is happening? So I would just respond and I said, you know what? I'm going to call her. Why is she being so? So I called her and said, Debbie, I'm not sure what you need. What did you need with this order? So as the conversation went on, she was telling me that her husband was going through colon cancer and how stressed she
Oh,
was about that. So you don't want to make assumptions that this woman hated me and didn't want to work with me or whatever. Look where I would have gone with that. Where in
right.
reality, you just don't know what someone else is going through.
Yeah.
So
That's a great example.
that comes up a lot. These things come up a lot. So instead of me, going back at her and being mean back to her, I didn't do that at all. So that's being your best. That's being your
Yeah.
best. Now, does that happen all the time? No. Sometimes I lose my patience, and then I have to call the person and say, "I'm so sorry, I just lost my patience." But you just try to do your best. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great example. Okay, so we're doing the 6 principles of positive activity.
Mhm.
So the number 5 then is the power of positive thinking.
So I guess what I would say here is when your mind, and you'll see the benefits on our main page too. So
Hmm.
when your mind is in a more optimistic, positive, joyful state, the up here as best it can be, there are all these benefits that have been scientifically researched. So things like, on average, when your brain is more optimistic and positive, you sell on average 37% more. You're 31% more productive. You're more resistant to illness. You are
Mm.
open and you more easily accept creative ideas coming into your brain. You can actually hear them and maybe apply them or look into
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
You are all the children's grade. They studied children. All of their grade scores were higher. SAT, ACT, those kinds of standardized testing were higher. Doctors are 19% more accurate in their diagnoses when their brains are more optimistic. So it's like check in with your doctor before you go for a problem. Say, how you feeling today, bud? Whatever. And I find that one fascinating. And they're all listed there on our website. And I forget, there's many others, but once I learned about the power of this, that we're building, what we're really doing is teaching people the practices they need to keep their vibration, their happiness level, their resilience, call it your resilience, higher.
Mhm.
So when
Yeah.
challenges do come up, because they are going to, especially when you're an entrepreneur or you're a mom, a wife,
Yeah.
whatever, it's going to come, a manager, it's going to come
Yeah.
up. So you might get bumped down a few notches that day, that incident, that hour, whatever. But because you've built up this resilience, it's easier for you to work through these emotions, pass these emotions, let them flow through you, and get back out of that. You're not in the ditch as much anymore.
Yeah.
So that's the power of it. And it's been scientifically proven. So I say, why not do it? Why not do
Yeah.
it?
How do you
So
think
cool.
that relates to the mindset change? Like how is it different? How does it relate like with the number 1?
It's the same. I
It's
would say
kind of the
it's the
same.
same because
Okay.
you're changing, shifting your mindset is changing your life, and you're changing your life because all of it, you're not, maybe you're not so depressed anymore.
Mm.
Maybe or if you do get depressed about something, you get anxious about something or worried about something, you're able to get back out of it faster.
Yeah.
So it's not like these emotions are still going to come up, but you're able to deal with them better. So it goes
Yeah.
hand in hand. It goes hand in
Yeah.
hand.
The honest dealing with emotion and then moving
Hmm.
it and reframing it into
Hmm.
something that feels positive. I love that.
Hmm.
Uh, let creativity lead is the
Mm.
is the last one. Or lead with
So
creativity? How would
one of the benefits of living with a more optimistic and positive mind is you are more open to allowing these creative ideas to come in. For instance, when you have challenges or issues that come up in business, and we just had one a couple weeks ago where our client received we also have a swag business called Rogers Marketing. So she received 400 jackets. They were all missized. She hated them. The arms were too tight. She wanted to return them all. So at first, I'm like, that gut wrenching fear and worry and anxiety and over, mainly over money because we were going to lose money on the order. That money thing always comes in, right?
right?
So I said, okay. So I think I went out for a walk, came back in, talked to Neil about it. I'm like, what are we going to do about this? So I called my client on the phone, God forbid, right? I called her and I said, okay, let's work this through. What are the issues? What's happening? What will resolve this for you? I'm like, okay. Then, then Neil and I talked about it a little more. I said, I'm just calling the jacket vendor. Maybe there was something wrong with these jackets in the first place. So we did
Mhm.
that. And we ended up getting a full credit from the jacket vendor on the jackets. And I asked her to take 25% of the cost because they did get samples and they liked them at the time. So she's like, yes, we're willing to take that. Then the only money we lost was on the embroidery of the garments, which was around $5,000. So what I mean is, instead of just being mad and angry and fighting back, no, 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 you've got to buy these jackets, no, no, whatever. I just sat and waited and listened and just went for a walk, let these negative emotions, flow through me, and then I was more open to hearing
Mhm.
the creative ways the universe was sending me ideas to fix this. And
Right.
we fixed it. We fixed
Yeah.
it. So, and we still have a client out of it, and they appreciated it. So
Yeah.
that's just one example.
Yeah. I love that so much. I love it so
Mm,
much. And I want to, because I've seen we'll call it toxic positivity in play in workplaces that I've been in, and the difference between what you just described, where you're taking it in. This is horrifying if you had to, you know,
mhm,
hit with the whole cost, and so then you
mhm,
kind of let the shock and negativity roll through you first, like you allow it. It's shocking.
mhm,
It's negative. It's like terrifying, and then so you feel it. You let it flow through in a way that's not being thrown at someone, and then
mhm.
when you're in a more when you let that in, then you go and deal with it, basically.
Yes,
Find all the different things that maybe we can work together to with people to not have it be as awful as it feels like it's going to be.
right,
So that's so
right.
great.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So there you also have a 3-minute reset.
Oh, yes. So if you go to our website,
Okay.
positiveactivity.net, there's a free download. And
Okay.
there's many free downloads, but one of them
Saw those.
is a 3-minute reset. So if you're just feeling like crap and the day you're a little snarky, you get out of bed in the wrong whatever, or your kid was mean, or your child is having a bad, we have a special needs child with autism, and if he's having a bad day, mom has a bad, mom feels that, and it's not great for me either. So there are 3-minute resets on there that I learned that I wanted people to say, just take 3 minutes and go dance for 3 minutes in your kitchen. Go out in nature and just if you can, put your bare feet in the ground,
Yeah.
on the ground, on the grass, on the dirt. And there's many other in there. Grab your book that you're reading and read your book. Journal about it. Call a friend that makes you laugh. That's one of my favorites. It's just, or I put on an episode of Schitt's Creek. I'm like, oh my god, that's more than 3 minutes, but
Yeah.
it's the funniest show.
It
And I'm
is.
so
Yeah.
sorry that Catherine O'Hara passed away. That makes me very sad.
Oh, yeah.
And God love her. And so there's a whole list of things there of just
Of
ways,
things
just to
to do.
you can give yourself 3 minutes to just like, ah, move it,
Reset.
do it,
Yeah.
yeah, and reset. Yeah.
I was, I was laughing at that because I did an episode in a talk actually about how to get rid of nerves when you're doing public speaking, and I'm an
Mm.
actor, and I'm like, when like that, the thing was that my number one thing was like, be goofy.
Yeah.
So if you're rehearsing your speech, that's because it tied in with what you're saying. Like your nervous system will tie your speech in with this essence of silliness, and
Hmm.
you can't be happy and joyful and silly and goofy
Right.
and
Did
scared.
Well, I just
So
ordered the book E Squared. I don't know if you have heard of that book, E Squared, like the letter E squared.
I
And
haven't.
I listened to an interview of the author, and she's so funny because she makes it fun. She makes mindset, and she makes manifesting, and she makes it's just fun and goofy, and exactly to what you just said. So you're intrigued and you're entertained because it's not a dry, boring subject, right? It's
Yeah,
like this cool thing that you can all learn to do that's free, it's easy. I don't know that it's easy, but it's simple. It's free, it's simple. The hard part, I guess I would have to say, is carving, is everyone understanding they're worthy of 20 minutes a day for themselves to do these things. So that's
yeah.
if I have to
Well,
add
and
some.
you show up better in everything when you've taken some time, internal time
Yes.
for yourself, regardless of what your life situation is, which life situations can get very intense. So,
Hmm.
for
Yes.
sure. So, what made you? Because you've been doing the marketing, you've been working with your husband
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
30 years? Is that what I
Oh
read?
my gosh. Yes. Oh, yeah,
Is that
yeah,
right?
yes. Yes.
I did go through your website, so I'm like, I'm
Oh, thank
trying to,
you.
remember it.
Oh my gosh, we've had this swag business, which we started my youngest son was 3, no, 2, 2.5 or 3 when we started the swag business. And I loved it because I could work from back in the day, no one worked from home, but I could work from home, do it during school hours, and then be home with the kids after school, before school, that kind of thing. And that was important to
Yeah,
me, and to
yeah,
have more balance. And then it just grew and grew. And it's fun. It's fun to get people swag and jackets and pens, and it's nothing. It's not nuclear weapons, and it's not missiles. It's not like high tech anything. It's just fun stuff that people are handing out to other people. So
yeah.
it's fun stuff, and been a fun business to do. It's changed so much over the course of those 30 years, almost 30 years,
Right.
but it's a lot. It's fun. So the way positive activity came in, because in 2012, I was in the ditch with a lot of stuff happening in business, because remember there was a recession, which was horrible for our business, obviously.
Okay.
My son, who was with autism, was transitioning from high school into the adult world, which at that time was a big abyss of what are we going to do with him and help him have a great day every day. My daughter, who was a Division 1 athlete and played lacrosse in college, was home with post concussion syndrome. She was a
Oh no.
senior. She had in a dark room home, the whole thing. So all of these things
Oh no.
just accumulated at one time, and
Mhm.
I just didn't have the skills to work through it all. I thought I was doing an okay job. I didn't know at the time that I wasn't, but I was like a wreck.
Mm.
My daughter at the time asked me to take her to a wellness fair because she couldn't drive. I had a driver. And I'm like, okay, well, what is a wellness fair? But sure, let's go do it. And I drove her to a local hotel that was having it. And that's where I picked up the books, went to some presentations, started learning about mindset shifting, your thoughts, your words, your beliefs, how they are entrenched in your subconscious brain. I didn't even know I had a subconscious brain. I didn't understand about and appreciate. I didn't know anything. I was mad, first of all, that I didn't know. And
Yeah.
then I just came to, after 6 months of studying and reading and learning and studying this, because I'm a math brain. I have a master's in math. I'm very black and white. So these concepts were so gray and surreal and so
Yeah,
like spiritual. And I was also raised Catholic, which this wasn't taught at all, right? You
right.
confess your sins. You have to do good to get into heaven. You have to do da da da. That's the way I was raised. So I
Yeah.
just didn't get it. So as I learned and as I evolved and as I learned more, and I said, and then I listened to Sean Acor has an amazing TED talk on happiness on YouTube. It's 12 minutes and 53 seconds of awesomeness. And he actually studied these practices that we teach that help. He's actually proving the law of attraction, which he doesn't call it that because he's a scientist and it's that kind of thing. But I'm like, oh
Okay.
my gosh, he proved and showed all of those benefits that are listed on our website are from his TED talk, where he studied people doing an appreciation practice every morning, 5 minutes of meditation, 30 minutes of moving your body, um, a conscious act of kindness every day, and conscious recall, where you write down something that made you laugh or smile or whatever the day before. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to start doing these and see what shifts and changes for me. And
And you
once
physically wrote them all down? Is that what you did?
you do them in your journal every morning. Yes, and there is a
Okay.
download on our website where you can download these practices and do them, just follow along and do them yourself.
Nice.
And I said, okay, Neil, this is ridiculous. Look at these amazing things that people can do in the comfort of their own home. They're free, they're simple. How can I not teach this? This is craziness for sales teams, for individuals, for
Yeah.
anyone that has goals and wants and desires. So these practices help keep you up here, and
Yeah.
it's keeping you up here that helps you receive all that you want because you're allowing it in. So that's how it started, because I was that math brain bought into the science and was like, okay, this is cool, and I want to teach this.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's
and,
awesome. Yeah.
thank you. Thanks. Yeah. And it
Um,
also talks about how we have the happiness equation wrong, which I think is a key
okay.
concept. Because I was raised, I was, well, okay, maybe my parents didn't mean to raise me this way, but this is what I thought. You get good grades, you get into a good college, you get,
Right.
good grades, your teachers like you, whatever. You get to a good college, you graduate, you're going to get a good job, and then you're going to be happy. And then this is going to be happy. You find the relationship, the person, the partner, then you're going to be happy. You get
Mhm.
that new car, then you're going to be happy. And maybe you are for a few days, a few weeks, a few months, but research has shown that our brains work in the opposite direction. Happiness, love, compassion, all of that great emotion, that's
Mhm.
what brings you success. That's what brings you what you want. So we have that equation wrong. And no, I mean, I love my parents. They raised me great, but they just didn't
Yeah.
know either. So, right?
No.
I'm like, okay,
No.
now that I know, and now that this is shown the way it is, that's the way it is. And now that I read other texts, or even when you read a novel, a fiction novel or something, that's always the theme is there that, about love and compassion and joy and optimism is the way you want to live. And
Mhm.
everything else will come to you. So
Love,
that was a hard
compassion, joy,
concept.
and optimism.
I mean, it was a
Good.
hard concept for me to understand at first, but then I was like, oh, wow. Once he said it, I was like, okay, yes, that makes so much sense. And also your perception. He studied that 10% of your long-term happiness is predicted by the home you have, the car you drive, the money in your bank account, like tangible things in your life. But 90% of your long term happiness is based on how you perceive what's going on in your life and how you can shift that perception. I always talk about the concept or the experience of COVID. We were devastated
Mhm.
at first. Sales were
Yeah.
down. We were all worried. Are we going to get sick? What's going to happen? Is anything ever going to open? So after 2 weeks of like, uh, anxiousness, worry, fear, doubt, my old friends, we said, and
Yeah.
I said to Anil, I said, okay, here's the gist. This is what we're going to do. We're going to um, I decluttered my marketing closet. I decluttered my files. We emailed every single client individually and asked if we could have their home address to mail them some swag and mail them stuff. 99% of them said yes and gave us their home addresses so we could stay connected with them because they weren't in the
Yeah.
buildings anymore. They weren't
Yeah.
for a long time, remember, in the buildings. So we
Yeah.
did
That's
that.
true.
And then PP, remember the masks and the hand sanitizer and the hand
Right.
sanitizer sprays, all that protective equipment we were able to get for our clients through our factories. So we did that. So we shifted our perception of it. We got to spend time with our family. You know, the holidays weren't rushed and going to 5 or 6 different parties. It was just family and calm and peace. So
Yeah.
your perception of what's going on is 90% of your predicts 90% of your long-term happiness, which I just loved that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's a reframe. You
Reframe.
know,
Yes.
can't do anything about what's uh, out of our control, which tends to be more than we want.
Yes.
So, what are we going to do in the middle of it? Yeah,
Right.
that's beautiful.
Thanks.
So you have a really lovely story also with your son and
Yes.
with autism, and I
Hmm.
just got to ask about that. Um,
Sure.
yeah,
So
so
I'll tell you this. So our son, who at the time was 31 years old, he's now 35. And he's a non-speaker. He's a repetitive speaker, an unreliable speaker. He always does seem to understand everything we would tell him. And he went through grade school, high school, the whole thing, didn't get a diploma or anything. He was never in a special ed. I'm sorry, he was never in a regular education classroom.
okay,
And even with speech therapy and all of that for, I don't know, 18, 20 years he's in school, um, never really helped him to speak. So at about 31, a friend of Neil's said, Neil, I've learned of this new communication method. It's called spelling to communicate. You need to get the book Underestimated. So Neil ordered the book. The book comes in. I open the Amazon box, I pull it out, and it's Underestimated. And autism, the tagline was an autism miracle. And I went, oh,
okay.
no, not another one, right? So I
Not
put the
another
book
autism
over
miracle.
here, exactly, because we've had tens, 20, 30s of those and thousands of dollars and, journeys and paths that I was like, oh, I don't know. So I put the book down and I said, I'll let Neil read this one. This was his friend out of respect for Eliza. I'll let Neil read the book. So the book sat on the table for about 6 months. Another friend of mine, here's how the universe knocks you in the head a couple of times, right? Linda said, Lori, we have a new doctor working in our office, and she is the medical director of an autism research study. I think you should come in and talk to her. I'm like, oh, I'd love to. So I go in, I met with Dr. Heather, sat down. The first thing she says to me, Lori, have you read Underestimated? I have another patient in New Jersey using this program. Ba, ba, ba. I'm like, oh, brother, no, but I'll go home and read it tonight. So I read it in one night, and it's the story of a young man just like Craig and his dad, who also found spelling to communicate from another parent. And what it is, I don't have a board here, but it's so simple. It's a plastic board with letters on it, A to Z.
Mhm.
And you teach the child, the adult, the young adult, to point to letters to spell out what they want to say.
Okay.
So just because you can't speak, right? So my motor cortex is here and it's sending signals to my mouth to say what I need to say. When you have apraxia, which most non-speaking autistic people have, those messages from the motor cortex to the mouth are not getting there.
Yeah.
So that does not mean you don't have knowledge and words and ideas and hopes and dreams and wants. Those are stored here in a different section of your brain. So they're all sitting in there, but they're not able to get to the motor cortex and out the mouth.
Okay.
So I had no idea of this. I didn't understand it. I said, okay, I found a practitioner in Rhode Island. We drove an hour. I took Craig an hour and a half, went down there. She sat down. She said, Craig, I know you're in there. I know you're intelligent. I know you're smart. I'm going to read you this paragraph about Dr. Stephen Hawking. And then I'm going to ask you a few questions. And after I ask you the questions, I'm going to give you this pencil with your hand. I want you to spell out the answers from the board. And I sat there and I watched him spell out the answers. The first answer was black holes, and he spells out black holes. She didn't tell him how to spell black holes. He already knew how to spell black holes because he's
Wow.
brilliant.
Wow.
And the next thing she asked him was, Craig, what's another word for sun? S-U-N. And he spells out S-O-L. And I said, well, time out, Crystal. That wasn't in the lesson. How did he know that? She goes, Lori, this is prior knowledge. He has so much knowledge in his brain because he's been listening for 31 years and taking it all in and taking it all in and taking it all in. And now it's in there. So now here we are 3 years later, and he has hopes. He has dreams. He's told us his goals. He wants to get a high school diploma. He has friends that he talks back and forth with, and they spell on their boards. Some spellers are now using computers or iPads, and they type, and then the iPad speaks for them. It's a whole movement. So if you know
Wow.
anyone with a non-speaking autistic person in their life, go. Oh, well, the first thing I would do is go to YouTube and look up the
Okay.
movie, The Spellers, the movie, and it's a documentary about the book Underestimated. And the book is
Okay.
on Amazon. It's an excellent book. And by the way, in the United States, just this last week, we now have a federal autism research council. 3 of the members are non-speakers, 2 using a letterboard, 1 using typing. It's
Okay.
huge. It's a whole movement in our country now,
That's
and
amazing.
it's and then from there, there's different in the book. If anyone wants information on it, go to my website. My email's right there. Email me, and I'll send you where I can tell you where to go.
That's
It's
great.
so worth trying because your child has been listening, and he knows his family. He knows his siblings, even though he never paid attention to them. He sends them messages now. He talks to them through the board. It's turned our world on its head, and I'm doing a lot of advocating for it and all that. But if I wasn't open, well, I wasn't so open, was I? Because I had to be told twice. But if at least I was open and allowing and to hearing
Yeah.
it, and so that's what
Yeah.
that's about.
That's
It's
amazing.
wonderful.
So I'm curious, so the ones that do the board versus the ones that type, is there
Mhm.
something going on in the brain also that makes it harder to type for some?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
because typing is a very difficult fine motor skill, right? Talking is
Yeah.
a fine motor skill. So a lot of the kids
Sure.
don't have good fine motor skills after any
Okay.
OT that works with them. So it's taken Craig, like, he's so cute and he's purposely pointing now to the letters. He doesn't use a pencil anymore, he uses his finger.
Mhm.
And so that has to be become, yeah, motor. It's all about motor planning. You got to teach it. You got to teach it. You got to teach it. It's repetition. Same with typing. Repetition, repetition, repetition. And of course, we have these keyboards that are not in alphabetical order. So you've got to figure out where the letter is when you need it. So that's
Mhm.
all hand-eye movement. That's very difficult when you have apraxia. So some kids may never get to a keyboard because just
Okay.
they're happy just using the laminate board or a stencil board. But it is a higher motor planning skill. Yes.
Yeah. That's really good info. And I imagine, just raising a child with autism was something that just really um was it kind of out? I mean, did you have other friends and stuff that were in that same thing with
Hmm.
you, or did it feel
No,
isolating?
well,
What was it like?
remember, I feel like the grandmother of the autism community, to be quite frank, because Craig's now 35. So in
Okay.
1993, when he was diagnosed, they didn't even call it autism. They called it pervasive developmental disorder. I'm like, what the hell is that? Go try to get, and there wasn't the internet then. I had to go to the library to see what I could find on pervasive developmental disorder. There wasn't anything out there on that. It took time to figure out that, oh, you mean autism, for God's sake. And he started speech therapy, he started OT. We got him into special needs preschool. He was the only one. So I was in there training them on what to do, training them on creating a communication board, which was pictures and words for him to point to, for bathroom or break or snack or run or swing or whatever he wanted to do. And then I would guess, like, once Craig was like 3, 4 years old, we started an organization called PACE, Parents Assisting Special Educators. So it was a parent run PTO for special needs classrooms. So for
Okay.
18, 20 years, we raised money every year and we gave it back to the special needs classrooms in our community here in Southern New Hampshire. And the teachers would write in at the time, again, write in or email. I guess back then there was email, um, to ask us for things like Velcro or, mats for the kids to sit on, all kinds of equipment that they needed for their classrooms. And it was we loved it. We loved doing it. So that was a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
fun. And then we met more. And then unfortunately, the explosion of autism started to happen at the end of the 90s. And it's just now I have so many friends now that are that I've met through spelling, and we all help each other out. We have a large community here in Southern New Hampshire, Northern Massachusetts, and it's a thing. It's a big deal. So I am, but you are kind of an island because the thing is, every child on this with this diagnosis is different. They're different. Their needs are different. Their expression is different. What's going on medically is different. It's just different for
yeah,
everyone, and that's what makes it hard. Um, but yeah. So I think a lot of times parents, when their child is first diagnosed, I get a lot of calls from parents whose kids are young, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, and help them through that initial process because it is like gut wrenching at first. It's almost
yeah,
like now there's too much information out there, right? Like when back in the 90s there was nothing, and now it's like, bah, it's everywhere. What do you
yeah,
do? And not everybody agrees on what to do. And you have
right,
to be really secure and confident on the path you want to take. And
yeah,
don't let any anyone else distract you. You know, we turned over every rock. I will say that for sure. Anytime I heard of a new therapy, vitamin, concept, doctor, blah blah blah. Yep, let's go check it out. We did.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I haven't had that experience, so it's like I can imagine
Mhm.
that there is just
But
it's
even though I will say, even though we didn't have
ingrained in
any
your
friends with children diagnosed, our community of friends here in Southern New Hampshire were all in, helping us with PACE, helping us set up the fundraisers, helping us raise money, creating amazing silent auction gifts. Like we had a blanket around us always of our
that's
amazing,
amazing.
family and friends. Even though
Yeah,
they didn't have the experience, it didn't matter. So
yeah,
that was great. That was
yeah,
wonderful.
that's great. So with the
Mhm.
positiveactivity.net and the pace that you were doing, do you because you do some public speaking also, correct?
Mhm. Yes.
So do you do that a lot in the autism community or for sales? I know
Mhm.
just
Yes. So
like most women, you're multifaceted with what
I
you're
am
really
multifaceted. So
yeah,
I have speeches written, targeted to targeted audiences. So I should say, Neil and I sometimes do it together. So either myself or Neil together,
mhm,
we speak to the special needs community. So caretakers, meaning direct support people that work for health
mhm,
and human services agencies, parents, and special ed teachers. We'll do, and we don't even charge for that. We just do it because we want them to know how they
yeah,
can lower their stress levels, how they can be more optimistic and positive. Oh, and by the way, I give my top 10 things of what I did when Craig was young that I think, you know, helped just to give us a good foundation. I talk about that. And then we have a speaker series for many of our clients call us to come into their sales meetings or their health and their wellness day meetings and that kind of thing to help those employees just be more optimistic and positive because they see the benefits that it does for the employee. It's only going to affect the business as well. So we
right.
have a series on that. as well.
That's great.
So it just depends on the audience. And of course, there are audiences that are more spiritually based. And for that, it's I talk more about the energy of the universe, how we're energy, how we are always manifesting and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
That's a whole nother thing. So, but
Right.
all of it I love. You have to meet people where they are, and that's the point. You meet people where they are and you
Mm.
explain concepts, and then they can take it to the next level if they want to.
Yeah, I love it. And I imagine you can book on your page, the
Mhm.
positiveactivity.net.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's super good. Well, Lori, what else? Um,
Oh my gosh. What else? Oh, well, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Neil's book. My husband wrote a book.
I
I don't know if
saw
you
that,
see it
and I
over here.
love the title
Okay,
of it.
okay, it's on the website. Yes, or it's on
Okay,
Amazon, but it's bar tips.
our
And
tips.
anything I needed to know in sales, I learned behind the bar. And it's just amazing, cute little tips that are so relevant to sales, to the sales community, to being in sales and being in business, really. And here's the funny thing. He does speeches at Berkeley School of Music, and he goes to talk to the
Okay.
singer songwriters.
Yeah.
So they think they're musicians and they're artists and they're creative, and which they are all of that. But guess what? Once you graduate college, you're a salesperson now because you're
Yeah.
selling you're selling your talent, you're selling your songs, you're selling yourself. So
Mhm.
he loves going in there and teaching them because they have no concepts of these things. So um, that's another avenue too. So that's
Yeah.
really fun.
I can relate to that. I have
Mhm.
one of my daughters did all kinds of bartending, and she's a
Mhm.
dancer. Does
Oh,
different Latin dances, and now Zouk is
wow.
what she's teaching and stuff. But that is and of course I'm an actor, so like I lived in
Oh,
Atlanta before I moved here, and was more into. Yeah, I've kind of stepped back a little bit in Reno, but um, all the community of actors there. And then I lived in Nashville with all the
wow.
musicians.
Oh my
So,
gosh,
and
that's
did some
fabulous.
songwriting. Yeah. So the
So
whole
what were you
creative
in?
community.
I need to watch
What's
you
that?
in something. What were you in? I have to go watch you in something.
You could go to my IMDb. It's
Okay.
there's a
I'm
few.
going.
It's mostly independent stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um, but I guess. Oh gosh.
That's cute.
Um, yeah. But everyone does restaurant work or bartending or something to pay bills
Mhm.
because the creative world of is an entrepreneurship field that's way less defined
Yes.
in how you make money than I think other ways of making money. So it's like I got into that, and I had been, my ex-husband, that was business, insurance, and uh,
Mhm.
the different sales things. So that's so different mindset from a creative. So then I got into a very creative field, and I'm like, what do you all do to, how does this work? How do these things
Mhm.
work together? And I feel like I am still asking myself those questions to some
Yes.
degree.
Well,
Um, but you almost have to find. Many people just have to find a way to make money as they're trying to make the bigger money or the
yes.
other money with creative. It is a complex
Right.
life
Right.
in that.
And there's no shame in that. You do it. You make so many
No.
connections, really, and you garner many amazing skills. When you're working in hospitality, either as a bartender or a wait staff, you're selling too.
Oh,
You're
very much so.
the dessert, the extra cup of coffee, the extra drink, the whatever it is, you're still
Mm,
selling. And
absolutely.
those concepts translate into selling your creative force as well.
Oh yeah. And just being just the kind of the poker face sometimes too. I know because I've heard all the stories. I've not bartended, but about being positive when you're like you're not
Ugh,
so sure you don't want them to leave the restaurant. Uh,
exactly. Yeah. That's in the book. That's a story about that in
that's
the book.
too. Yeah, yeah. That is a very strong correlation to selling, but that the concept too, I love that you brought that up, the concept that no matter what field you're in, you need to be presenting yourself, the way you present yourself to others is, quote unquote sales, right?
Yes.
As a teacher, the presenting of concepts or whatever you're promoting, um,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
positive
Yeah.
acceptance
Right.
of what it is
Love
that
it.
you have for people. Yeah.
Cool.
That's where the positivity comes in too, don't you think? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Well, Lori, thank you for your time and just for being available to people to both with the main business and with the coaching, speaking, and then with anyone with autism who can come to you. So,
Mhm.
and everyone can just reach you on is it Lori at positiveactivity.net?
Yep. It
That's
is.
it. All
Yep.
right.
Easy
All right.
peasy. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mary. This is a great conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate you so much. So, all right. You have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Did you like that? You can watch more episodes here, subscribe over here. We actually have new episodes with awesome guests every Thursday, so check back in. Is that all?